Namaskar. I welcome my all dear brothers and sisters in this spiritual evening or night program. Today we will discuss about God-centered psychology. What is the structure of our mind? I think most of you or many of you know the body contains countless cells. Human body is composed of mainly two types of cells. One is protozoic cell, another is metazoic cell. And every protozoic and metazoic cell has its own mind, its own soul. And besides these protozoic cells and metazoic cells, there is also unique human mind. And all the protozoic cells, all the metazoic cells, and the individual mind, all these three together make the human mind. So human mind is a collective mind. Our mind is connected with every protozoic and every metazoic cells individually as well as collectively. So this collective human mind functions in the discharge of our all the duties, responsibilities, and activities. And anything that we do with the help of our sensory organs and motor organs are because of the activities of the mind. And this mind is mostly influenced by four types of psychologies. One is self-centered psychology, in which the happiness of the individual, a particular individual, is most important. He thinks for his own happiness. Others may even have to undergo suffering for his happiness, but he is not concerned about others' unhappiness. He or she should get happiness. That is the central point in self-centered psychology. And another is matter-centered psychology, that a person tries to accumulate, acquire more and more material things of his comfort, satisfaction, enjoyment. And therefore, even in a smaller amount, in a smaller material things, he can live happily, satisfactorily, but his mind runs after more and more hedonistic things, more and more things of pleasure, material pleasure, worldly things. And this makes his mind cruder. It always runs after the material objects of the world. And third is dogma-centered psychology. In this dogma-centered psychology, mind becomes, I can say, superstitious, it becomes dogmatic, it becomes narrow-minded, short-sighted, and therefore it gives goodbye to reason and scientific temper. So these three psychologies, self-centered, matter-centered, and dogma-centered, these are the causes of our all suffering, our all unhappiness. And the fourth psychology is the God-centered psychology. This God here, as you know, it's made of these three letters, G-O-D. G stands for generator, creator. O stands for operator or the maintainer, and D for destructor, annihilator. So all these three functions are done by a singular entity, and that's why we call it God. So when the mind is attached, it is aligned with this supreme entity who is the creator, controller, operator of this vast cosmological order, this expressed and unexpressed universe. When mind is attached with it is aligned with it is in contact with it, then we call it God-centered psychology. Now, in the world, we find people, let us see the role of religions. These religions in our life has great importance because everybody has one or other religious belief. And these religions have got importance because of two main factors. One is that it claims to give realization of God. And secondly, it emphasizes the moral values in life. But in the practical field, we find that all the religions of the world, not most, but all the religions of the world have been the causes of numerous conflicts, bloodshed, intolerance, and all sorts of dogmatic faiths, all the religions. And that's why we find that the religion, instead of being the source of happiness and blessing for humanity, has proved to be a sort of liability. And although it is claimed as it is, there is a very good popular song in Hindi that मजहब नहीं सिखाता आपस में वैर करना, मजहब नहीं सिखाता आपस में वैर करना, means that religion does not teach one to hate anybody or to despise anybody. It teaches to love anybody. But what we find in reality? Now, recently, we have seen the incident which has taken place in Afghanistan, in which hardened religious people have taken over the reign in that country. And people are fleeing from there because of fear of their atrocities. So this fear for the religion is because of the inherent intolerance in the belief of those people who are the followers of that religion. So this is not only the case of Afghanistan or of a particular religion, but in most of the religions, and all of the religions, we find the same thing. And therefore, the role of religion in our life is very important. And I think that the religions which are in the present shape today need to modernize themselves. They have to move with the changes in time, place, and person, and not to remain dogmatic as they are today. And a few features of the religion is that they give undue importance to a particular individual, that he is a son of God, he is the messenger of God, or he is God himself. And there is least respect for reason and rationality in the religion. and it is always emphasized that we have to believe what is told by the founder of that religion. We have to believe, howsoever illogical, irrational, unscientific it may be, but we must believe it. Whatever written is in our scriptures, we have to believe it. This means that we have not to apply our mind, our brain, our intellectuality, our scientific knowledge, and we have to follow it. So this type of psychology has led to a very, I can say, a very unfortunate situation in the society, and there has been a very big conflict between science and religion. And just like people believe in different gods, the stars, the planets, they believe they are also God, and such like faith, like that sun rises in east, it sets in west. When sun does not rise or it does not set, it is because of the movement of the sun, of the earth uh, around the sun, that we find the coming of the seasons, and movement of the earth on its axis, that we find the day and night phenomenon. But these things are not scientifically accepted in the religion. They believe that it is God, because of him there is day, because of him there is night, and the such type of things, like that there is no hell or there is no heaven, is not acceptable in the religion. And we find all sorts of illogical, irrational things, and it is also said that mazhab mein akal ka dakhal nahi hai, that we have not to intellectually interfere, rationally interfere in the scriptural or religious injunctions. So first thing is that the scientific temper is not evident in the religious instructions and belief. Secondly, there is total intolerance. They do not tolerate those persons who speak against the illogical and irrational faiths and the directions of religion. They are denounced as irreligious or atheist, and all sorts of I can say hard punishment is declared against them. Not only that, in religion, a particular place, a particular river, a particular mountain, or a particular idol, it is considered very holy and people have to worship it. So these types of dogmatic ideas have created a great tragedy for those persons who are rational, who believe in the science, and who want to lead a very decent life. So there is a need of modernization of religion, since religion has a very great impact on our life. So therefore, if we allow dogma and superstition and illogical things to remain in religion, then this will always create conflict. And therefore, there are conflicts in all the religions today. Inside the religion also, there is so much conflict. So that's why there is a great need of the modernization, rationalization of religious belief. And it is very important that unless the religious beliefs are made scientific and they follow the rationality, the problem of the human beings is not going to be solved easily. And we know that all the religion claim that they believe in God, and still they are quarreling. They believe that God has created the whole universe, but still there are so many castes, so many com- communal sentiments, so many, I can say, religious sentiment. When God has created the whole universe, then why should there be conflict? Then we are all kith and kin of everybody. We are all children of the same father. We are the members of the same family. There must be a cosmic feeling, a feeling of togetherness, a feeling of fraternity, world fraternity, global fraternity, cosmic fraternity amongst us. But these religions do not allow us to have this fraternity. And we find there are conversions also, converting one person to another religion, thinking that my religion is the best. The guide, the founder of my religion, he is the supreme, and others have to follow him. So the main thing is becoming a person, either a person, whole world becomes Hindu, or whole world becomes Muslim, or whole world becomes Christian, or whole world becomes Sikh, or becomes any other religious adherent. Will it make a better world? We must think it very quietly and calmly that we have to become a real human being. We have to become a real love of our supreme, uh, real lover of our supreme father, the supreme creator, shunning, abandoning all sorts of hatred and intolerance for others. We must have the feeling that we are one, we belong to one family, belong to one father. That's why I feel that there should be a cosmic outlook, a global outlook, that we are the children of the supreme consciousness, the supreme entity. We are the children of the supreme creative principle, the operative principle, and the whole universe is our motherland. No land is a land to us. We are the inhabitant of this cosmic creation. That's why I feel that this religious intolerance can only be overcome by having cosmic outlook, and religions need to move with the changes in time, place, and person. When they were founded, according to then situations, the teachers of those religions had given different directions and injunctions. But with the change in time, place, and person, those beliefs and those injunctions and directions do, do not remain any more valid, and they need to adjust with the changing phases of these three relative factors. And this is the need of the hour. I think that instead of calling ourselves religious, it will be better if we call ourselves spiritual. Spirituality is not superstition, it is not a dogma, it is not something in action, passive psychology that what is written in the destiny, it is bound to happen. It is God who orders everything, and we cannot do anything about it. We have to be rational and intellectually very sound in our approach, our conscience must remain always awakened, and we must judge everything on the touchstone of rationality and reason. And this will help us to move towards the supreme entity. And this movement, we can say, is spiritual movement. And our movement towards the attainment of the supreme stance of our existence, of the cosmic creation, this supreme stance is the real goal of spirituality. So the religion in the present form need to think about their inherent shortcomings, and in the light of the scientific development and in the light of the changing times, space and person, they have also to accordingly make changes so that all can live in happiness and peace. Now, in order, let us also think about our economic philosophy, our economic aspect of life, which is very important so far our existence is concerned. We cannot live without minimum requirements of life. And for this, we require economic power, purchasing power. And this purchasing power is denied to majority of the people of the world. And some time ago, there was a survey, investigation, which has brought to our notice that 36 people of the world have control over the wealth of more than half of the world's population. Now we can imagine how much economic disparity exists in the society today. 36 people of the world have more wealth than half of the population of the world. So this type of economic injustice or economic inequality is surviving, it is thriving in our society because of lack of spiritual outlook. If when we have a spiritual outlook, then we will think that everybody is a member of our family, and we have a responsibility to see that nobody starves, nobody is in an unprivileged condition or in a condition of deprivation and I can say poverty or a lack of opportunities to move forward, to develop themselves, to evolve and elevate themselves. Today, we find that the small children in India, about 45,000 children every day die because of malnutrition, lack of nutritious diet. So this gives a very pathetic picture of our economic system today, in which everybody is not allowed to develop, to evolve, to cultivate such a, I can say, the style of life or such utilize such opportunities which help a person to develop more and more and become a very respectable, dignified human being in the society. So in order to provide enough opportunity to everybody for his or her progress and prosperity, it is important that we cultivate, we nurture a cosmic outlook, a spiritual outlook, that the whole universe is our motherland, and the creator of this cosmos, the supreme entity, the supreme consciousness, is our father, and we are members of the cosmic family. This cosmic outlook will not allow us to do injustice to anybody, and then the economic system which will evolve, that is the economic system based on God-centered psychology, will make this world happier and better, because nobody will then feel deprived of opportunities to go ahead, to march ahead, to become more and more evolved and elevated. That's why I feel that the economic system which is prevailing today in the world uh, is mostly, I can say, is based on the capitalist thought that we have the power, we have the right of unlimited accumulation. So those who are stronger, those who are manipulator, they are acquiring, they are accumulating more and more wealth, and others have to live in poverty and deprivation. So this economic system, which is based on exploitation and injustice, has to be removed. We have to change it, and we have to base it on spirituality. And when we base our economic system on spirituality, then the question of ownership will not arise. When we say that this particular amount, millions and millions of rupees belong to us, we are millionaire or billionaire. So here the ownership belonging to a person is not conducive to a social system where everybody can live happily and peacefully. Since the wealth at one place is accumulated, and another place there is a stark poverty, there is very tragic poverty. This richness and this poverty, they are becoming poles apart. And in order to bridge this gap, it is important that we have a fellow feeling for everybody. We have not to think that others are our prey. They are our customers, and we are the salesmen who are promoting their product, who want to earn more and more profit. This psychology has to go, and it can go only with only one approach, that we are belonging to the same family, we are the members of the same family, and we are the children of the same father and mother, same parents. Only with this feeling we can remove the narrowness of mind and the desire for more and more accumulation. We will then think, when we develop the cosmic vision, a spiritual vision, we will think that we have to think for the welfare of all. Nobody should be outside our thinking of development or thinking of progress and prosperity. We will not try to take such happiness which becomes the cause of unhappiness of others. So that's why I feel that the economic system which are prevailing in the world today also needs a great revolutionary change. They have to base their entire outlook on spirituality. And when the spirituality will become base, then the seed of exploiting others, the seed of inflicting injuries to others, the seed of doing injustice to others will be removed. We will live like brothers and sisters of the same family, of the same parents, and there'll be no injustice, inequality, disparity, and any sort of suffering which we find in the world today. So economic system also needs a God-centered psychology, a spiritual psychology. Then this economic system will become a holistic system. It will become conducive to the welfare of all. Nobody will feel despised. or unprivileged in that system. Lastly, our the role of spirituality or God-centered psychology in attaining the goal of human life. As I have told earlier, that human body, our human personality is composed of various cells, and these cells, their collective existence and our mind make the human mind. So it is a collective mind, and this collective mind, when it is in the ideation of the Supreme, then gradually every ectoplasmic cell, every metazoic and protozoic cell goes on evolving, further evolving from lower stages of matter, they move toward higher stages of consciousness. And this movement brings about a great ectoplasmic evolution in our mind. And our mind, human mind, becomes slowly parallel to the cosmic wave, the wave of the supreme consciousness. And only in that situation, in that state, we can feel that our desire for material acquisition is slowly becoming weaker, thinner, insignificant. Otherwise, if our mind does not move towards our spiritual goal, towards the nucleus of the cosmological order, then it will move towards the reverse direction, that is material enjoyment, worldly enjoyment, hedonistic tendencies, all sorts of, I can say, the perverse outlook and degeneration and degradation of mind. Therefore, in order to move towards the goal of life, it is important that object of our mind should not be anything worldly. It should be always the, the supreme entity who has created this universe and who is maintaining and controlling this universe. And the very great property which is given to our mind is that as it thinks, so it becomes. When the mind will think of the supreme entity, the supreme consciousness, so this ideation of the supreme consciousness will bring about gradual transformation in the psychic structure of our existence. Our psyche, our mind will gradually, become more and more oriented towards consciousness and less towards the crude or material level of the world. And therefore, it is important that the preoccupation of our mind should be guided by one very important, I can say, a mantra, a very important outlook given by Sri Anandamurti ji, that subjective approach with objective adjustment. Subjective approach, this means we are, when we think that we are the worshipper of God, so we should also think that what do we mean by God? God, when we say he is generator, operator and destructor, that means he is the supreme. And when he is supreme, then he cannot be two. He is perfect. Perfect cannot be two. Two means, or three means, four means that it is imperfect. There is something outside of it. But when something is supreme, when nothing is superior to it, it means that it is the be all and end all. There is nothing above it. It is the summum bonum of our life. And that we call God, we can call Allah, we can call Khuda, God, the Ishwar, Bhagwan, Param Purush, Parmeshwar. There are so many thousands of names and which given to that supreme entity. But main thing is he is endless, he is beginningless, he is an infinite entity, he is immutable, he is not affected by changes in time, place, and person, and therefore he is the goal of life. That which is perfect alone can be the goal of life. The only reason is that if we achieve something imperfect, then there is a still desire to achieve something more. But when we attain perfection, then this desire to achieve more goes away, it vanishes, it disappears. And that is possible only when there is attainment of infinite. That's why it is our in scriptures, it is in the words of the sages that Om Purnmuda Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. That this is also infinite, that is also infinite, and infinite has come from infinite. And when something is taken out of the infinite, then the remaining the resultant is also infinite. So this infinite is the goal of life. We have to make our mind enlarge to the extent that it becomes infinite. And this is possible only with the help of spiritual practice, psycho-spiritual practice. It is a science, psycho-spiritual science, and this science helps to attain parallelism with that wave which is of infinite wavelength, and with the gradual ideation of that infinity, with the help of spiritual practice, we will realize that our mind is being enlarged. And with the expansion of mind, we will also feel, we will experience that it is moving in the cosmic flow. It is not in the ephemeral flow or mental flow, but it is in the cosmic flow, it is in the flow of the supreme flow of our cosmic Father. And then we will feel, experience that our mind is becoming more and more contented. It is becoming more and more satisfied. It is not running after carnal pleasures. It is not hankering for more material acquisition, because it will experience that then in that state, our mind feeling will totally change. It will become totally transformed. It will realize the transitoriness of the worldly things, of those things which are made of the five fundamental factors: ether, air, luminous factor, liquid factor, and solid factors. These five factors make this world, and our mind runs after it because of lack of spiritual vision. So that's why I will say that without spirituality, we can never advance towards goal of life. Goal of life is perfect. It is the attainment of the wave of infinite wavelength. It is all inclusive. And when we reach that state, then we lose all the imperfections, we lose all our desires to acquire more and more things, and we become self-contented, we become self-contained. So I think that in order to achieve this God-centered psychology, we have to change our object of mind from limited to unlimited, from ephemeral, from, I can say, the transitory things, to the eternal, to the such a transcendental entity who is not affected by these changes. This, when we make our mind move towards that transcendental entity, then alone we can attain the status of godhood or self-realization. So it is the need of the hour that we make ourselves spiritual, we make our mind spiritual, we always try to see, assess the condition of our mind, whether it is still running after the worldly things or its main goal is to attain the godhood, to attain the supreme stance of our movement, to reach to the original point of creation, the nucleus of the cosmic order. When that nucleus becomes the goal of life, and we gradually go nearer and nearer to it because of our regular practice of psycho-spiritual science, the practice of intuitional science, then alone we can attain the goal of life, which is a self-fulfillment, a stage of self-fulfillment, totally contented. There is no dissatisfaction, no feeling of restlessness. Mind becomes totally calm, quiet, collected, happy, and peaceful. And this is what we aspire. This is what we really need. And therefore, a spiritual mind or a godly mind is the real human mind. And unless we move towards attainment of this state, we cannot say that we are real human beings. The clash, the mutual altercation, the belligerent attitude, intolerance, and all sorts of vociferous tendencies, baser tendencies we find in the world is because of lack of God-centered psychology. And God-centered psychology always elevates and evolves our mind, it expands our mind, it frees it from all sorts of temporal, spatial, and personal bondages. It leads us to from imperfection to perfection, and in that state of mind, there is no conflict among the people of this universe. There will be no disharmony, there will be no intolerance, all will live with peace and happiness. And I think that this makes the God-centered psychology clear to all you brothers and sisters. And we should think very seriously that God is not that he's in some seventh sky or 10th sky or living in some heavenly abode. He is everywhere. He is in every particle. So we have to identify ourselves with all the universe, with animate and inanimate all the objects, so that our love pervades the whole universe and we become dear and lovely to everybody. We do not remain a liability for anybody. Our life becomes blessed and it becomes the cause of happiness for others. It becomes truly fortunate, and we will experience that our getting human life has become worthwhile. We have not wasted any moment of our life. So that's why my advice is to make mind spiritual, to make mind godly, and to become an asset for the whole of humanity. Namaskar. Anybody can ask me any question about whatever I have said on these 3 points: the role of religion and the spirituality at the base of economic system, and the role of God-centered psychology in attaining the goal of life. Anybody can put any question. I will like to hear from you, brothers and sisters. Any question? The topic is clear to everybody. Whosoever is listening, may I know that anything has remained unclear or doubtful?
Namaskar, Dada. So,
Namaskar.
question, we can ask them to. If anyone has any question, you can feel free to send always the email, and so that Dadaji can respond back. And also, you can put your questions on the chat box, or you can anytime if you have any question, you can send through email. Dada, if the participants don't have any questions, then we can. Thank you very much.
It means that they have understood the topic nicely. What should I infer?
Yes, Dada. So yes, I request participants to give some feedback, like saying it is they clarified all their questions. The reason for not having questions is they understood 100%. So we take that assumption. So still, if they have any questions, anytime they can come back to us. Our email ID is there, anandajimnam@gmail.com, and Dada will definitely respond and get back. And so yes, Dada, thank you very much for your excellent session today.
We should conclude here, or
yes, Dada, we can conclude when the participants don't have any questions. We can conclude, no problem. And maybe let us see any questions comes in the email so that we can respond them back.
So I thank all my sisters and brothers, all the listeners that they took some time to hear me and enlighten themselves with the topic of the day. And I hope that they will give their valuable thoughts and their ideas, their questions, their queries, so that in future I will get more opportunity to speak on the same subject or a different subject.
Acharya, I have a question here.
Yes.
I have a question like we are all living in a scientific era now. I mean, we say that we are developed and we are developing, we are very intellectual. I mean, people say that they but still, if we see in the realm of religion or in the realm of their faith or beliefs, I still see people are not that much developed. I mean, people are having high degrees, they are scholars, they are intellectuals, but in the realm of religion and faith, they are still dogmatic, or they are still orthodox, or you can say they are not spiritual. So, Acharya, I really sometimes I feel that we look forward to someone as a very dignified person or as a very intellectual person. But when we see the other side of their intellect, I really find them they are not. I mean, they are not that much developed from. I mean, in that perspective. I mean, in the thinking of spirituality or in the thinking of the religion. So, I mean, what is the reason why people don't think like that? I mean, all you have mentioned that it's a cosmic family. We should feel that we are coming from a same. We are. I mean, we have a same father and mother. But why we are not able to still develop this psychology? I mean, why human beings are still not able to believe it? What is stopping them? I mean, it's very simple, right?
The reason is, sister, the reason is that besides this psychology, God-centered psychology, that we belong to the same family, we belong to the same parents, there are other three psychologies. And these three psychologies, self-centered, matter-centered, and dogma-centered, they are today dominating our social, our economic, our national, and our all the departments of our life, education, culture, civilization, everywhere. These three psychologies are dominant in one or other form. So that's why there is need of the cultivation of scientific temper and the, I can say, propagation of rational ideology, so that people are made awakened and they understand the futility of their dogmatic belief. Otherwise, even the, I can say, intellectuals and very learned persons, because of these religious, teachings from the very early childhood, their mind has become conditioned. So naturally, there is a great need of education which is of universal outlook, which is of spiritual outlook. And these changes are, of course, I can say, are gently required. And for this, we have, of course, to organize a spiritual movement, a moral movement, a social movement, a revolutionary movement, I can say, because unless there is such a revolutionary movement, the effect of these three psychologies cannot be washed away. Their dominant role in our life cannot be removed. It is very essential that we have to organize, we have to make a stronger the reasonable people voice, and the scientific temper, which is very important. You just see a person never thinks in a science, he never thinks that if something has not happened, then it is the will of the God. It is will of the God, no doubt. But when I have put my hand in the fire and my hand becomes burnt, and I say that it is the will of the God. So I think a rational person will not appreciate this approach. He will say that I have to be cautious so that my hand does not touch the fire and it gets burned. So similarly, this scientific temper, that something is happening because of a certain cosmic law, because of certain cosmic cause and effect theory, unless this type of temper is inculcated, it is introduced in our mind, the dogma will continue, self-centered and matter-centered outlook will also continue. So it is a great challenge for those who are the well-wishers of humanity, that the rational people, moral people should organize themselves, unite themselves, and they must wage a war, a very strong war on dogma and all these three psychologies, by uniting moralists and spiritual persons, and thereby bringing about a great transformation in the social movement. Today, all the movements are either guided by these three psychologies. I do not find any movement truly, genuinely based on God-centered psychology. So this is a onerous responsibility of all of us, that we should organize such movement, we should strengthen such movement, and we should give a leading role. We should not wait that somebody from nowhere or somebody from heaven or some godly personality will appear before us and then he will deliver us from the dilemma we are facing today. We have to believe that we are capable of changing this situation. We have the capacity, we have the ability, we have the drive, we have all enterprises to bring about such a stupendous change in the society. We can do it with this confidence, with this determination. We have to move forward, and then I think slowly the influence of these three psychologies which are proving curse for humanity, their effect slowly will, disappear, and God-centered psychology will pervade home and hearth of the whole of society, and we will find that whatever we want today, that people should have rational outlook, we will see that that rationality becomes the rule of the day. It will become the order of the day. It will become the lifestyle of the day, and we will be free from all the clutches of dogma and bondages, and things will look better.
Thanks, Acharya ji. So it's really good that it's an eye opener for us, and I think whoever is watching this video, I would request all of them, if they really think that we should work on the God-centered psychology and to propagate this ideology, we can work together, and you can contact us. I would request the operator to show the details. अवधेश जी का क्या आप दिखा सकते हैं जो contact details है हमारी? So those who really wanted to work with us to propagate this ideology, and anybody who is interested in learning sadhana meditation and wanted to know more about the ideology and the philosophy given by Shri Anand Murthy ji, I would request all of them to please contact us on these numbers or the mail IDs, and we will definitely help you. And Acharya ji will guide you in the best way. So I hope, looking forward to you. Thank you very much for that, for attending this session. Anybody has any question, please please ask, because I think everybody must have some questions about the God-centered psychology, because everybody is having some kind of faith, belief, some kind of constraint in the mind, I would say, constraint. So you can ask, this is the very good forum that you can ask you can challenge the Dada. What I would say, you can challenge the Acharya ji with your logics, with your rationality, and I'm very sure Acharya ji will definitely make you aware or understand with the logics too. So you can challenge Acharya ji how it is good, or how what is your way. I mean, I would request everyone, if you can ask anything, if you have anything. So let me check Acharya ji in the Facebook page if there is any question raised by any other viewer. Just give me a few minutes.
And I'm ready to accept the challenge. So whatever the challenge, I'm prepared to face it. I'm ready to meet the challenge. So let people challenge me. So I'm very happy to hear your voice, to hear your words. And I hope that the inquisitive minds will certainly put question and try to know more and more about God-centered psychology. I give my good wishes to everybody, and also thank you, all of you, for hearing me and patiently understanding whatever I have said. And in future, I will hope more and more intimate interaction with all of you. Namaskar.
Namaskar, Acharya ji. I'm not seeing any question from anyone. So I think we can close the session now.
Right. Okay. Namaskar.
Thanks, Acharya ji. Thanks.
Namaskar to everybody.